You're listening to a production of the National Media Archive. To learn more or volunteer, go to nationalmediaarchive.com.
In Chicago, the outfit wasn't just a gang, it was a full-blown infrastructure. And its seventh family? That was the political, judicial, and law enforcement muscle. Without it, the outfit's empire would have cracked under pressure. But thanks to some well-placed payoff, the machine kept grinding for decades. Enter Tokyo Joe, real name Ken Eto, a rare breed in the outfit's world. He was Japanese-American, also the only known outfit associate doing direct business with black street gangs in Chicago. In 1949, he moved into town and started running an illegal lottery racket called Bolita. Popular in low-income communities, Bolita was a cash cow. Eto pulled in over $200,000 a week. This is in mid-century dollars, and paid out around $3,000 weekly to keep Chicago cops looking the other way. Now, Eto was never a made man. But as an associate, he climbed higher than most. He was a serious earner. Fast forward to the early 1980s. His gambling ring gets busted. He's convicted in 1983, and as his sentencing date looms, he gets summoned to a meeting by Northside outfit boss Vincent Solano. Eto, suspicious, fears it's a setup. That night, he suits up, tells his wife where the life insurance paperwork is, and heads out. Sitting in a parked car, waiting to enter the meeting, he's flanked by two supposed allies, Cook County Deputy Sheriff John Gattuso and hitman Jasper Campus. But the backseat turns into a firing squad. Gattuso fires 3 rounds into Eto's skull. Here's the thing. The hit failed. The bullets didn't penetrate. They just grazed his head. Why? Because these geniuses hand-loaded the ammo and didn't pack enough gunpowder. DIY assassination fail. Eto regains consciousness, stumbles into a pharmacy and calls 911. That botched hit broke him. He flipped, entered witness protection and started talking. Within months, the hitmen were found dead, stuffed in the trunk of a car in the suburbs, beaten, strangled, stabbed. The outfit didn't tolerate failure. Miss and you die. Simple as that. Eto, now working with the feds, helped lock up 15 outfit members. That included dirty cops. He even testified before the United States Senate. But Vincent Solano, the man who called the hit, never charged. Died a free man. And as for Eto, he ended up testifying against more than just the people who tried to kill him. A lot of names got dragged into courtrooms. Some didn't belong there. That wasn't what the feds wanted. But once the deal is made, you take what you get. Meanwhile, another investigation was unfolding, this one triggered by a murder straight out of a noir film. In 1982, Diane Masters disappeared. She was married to outfit lawyer Alderman Masters and was about to file for divorce. 9 months later, her body was found in the trunk of her Cadillac, submerged in the Chicago Sanitary Canal. Her skull was crushed, 2 bullets to the head, rolled in a carpet and dumped. Who helped Allen cover it up? Willow Springs Police Chief Mike Corbett, a lifelong outfit guy. Also likely present, Cook County Sheriff's Lieutenant Tim Keating. They staged it like a mob hit. Except someone noticed fresh tire tracks leading into the water. Dive teams found not just her car, but 81 others. It was an underwater junkyard of fraud and body disposal. Corbett and Masters were both indicted. So was Keating. The trials peeled back decades of corruption. By the end, over 50 people were indicted, including a dozen county sheriffs and several Willow Springs officers. Corruption, prostitution, bribery, racketeering, the whole works. The outfit's Willow Springs pipeline was severed. Corbett would later claim the outfit had put out a hit on him and his son while he was locked up. That's what pushed him to start cooperating with the FBI. His testimony added another crack in the outfit's foundation. But the real wrecking ball showed up soon after. In walked Bob Cooley, an ex-cop, outfit fixer and attorney. One day he strolls into the Federal Organized Crime Strike Force office and says flat out, "I've decided to cooperate." No warning, no warm-up. The feds wire him up immediately. That single decision launches Operation Gambit. Gambit, short for gambling attorney, was the deepest federal probe into the political heart of the Chicago outfit. The mission? Take down the corrupt political elite in the First Ward, the most powerful political ward in the city, home turf to both Richard J. Daley and Richard M. Daley. Cooley wasn't just any lawyer. He was the bag man. The one who bribed judges, greased palms, and fixed trials for 4 outfit-linked political powerhouses: Pat Marcy, John Diaco Sr., John Diaco Jr., and First Ward Alderman Fred Roti. Here's how deep it ran. The feds learned that these First Ward leaders basically ran a shadow government from Booth 1 at Councillors Row restaurant. The spot? Right across the street from City Hall. The feds bugged the booth, planted a camera, and rolled tape. It worked, until a busboy discovered the wire. But by then, it didn't matter. Cooley had already recorded months of conversations. When the tapes dropped, panic hit Chicago's Democratic machine like a thunderclap. The outfit's political crew had just been caught on record, conspiring, extorting, bribing. The fallout was massive. The U.S. Attorney General announced the first wave of Gambit indictments. John Diaco Jr., David Shields, Pasquale De Leo, and Fred Roti were all convicted. Charges: corruption, racketeering, conspiracy, bribery, extortion. There were 9 federal trials through the 1990s. 24 people either pled guilty or were found guilty. Cooley's tapes were bulletproof, and the dominoes kept falling. Outfit underboss Marco the Mover D'Amico? Indicted. Cooley had taped him too. D'Amico went down on racketeering charges and got 12 years. One name kept surfacing in all this: Judge Thomas J. Maloney. He was the outfit's golden ticket on the bench. In 1993, he was convicted of fixing 3 state murder cases. The feds had him cold. He got 15 years. Served his time. Died free. Cooley's testimony, and Operation Gambit, also connected to another major federal probe, Operation Greylord. That one targeted judicial corruption. Between both investigations, the fallout included 17 judges, 48 lawyers, 8 police officers, 10 deputy sheriffs, 8 court officials, and 1 state legislator. Nearly all of them were convicted. A U.S. court judge later said that democracy in Chicago, at the time, resembled a banana republic. The highest-ranking made guy to ever hold elected office in Chicago was Fred Roti. He served as a state senator and a 24-year alderman. His father, Bruno the Bomber Roti, a soldier in the Capone mob and the first official boss of the 26th Street Chinatown crew. The outfit had its roots and future sewn into Roti's bloodline. Fred Roti was convicted on 11 counts, got lucky, acquitted of the most serious charge, fixing a Chinatown murder trial in 1981. Still, he served 3 years in federal prison, and it didn't stop there. Fred Roti helped install William Hanhart as chief of detectives for the Chicago Police Department. Hanhart was the outfit's ultimate inside man, had full access to records, surveillance, and investigations. He kept the bosses one step ahead of the law. In 2001, he was convicted of running a multi-million-dollar jewelry theft ring. He served 10 years. Roti and Marcy were also caught selling city jobs, planting mobsters from Angelo LaPietra's Chinatown crew into the Department of Streets and Sanitation and the Water Department. These guys weren't just clocking in. They ran gambling operations out of city facilities. They stole tires, fuel, batteries, whatever wasn't nailed down. The city payroll was their racket. Fred Roti's nickname was Peanuts, thanks to his size. But behind closed doors, he was one of the most dangerous outfit operatives in City Hall. He died of cancer in 1999. Pat Marcy, real name Pasqualino Marciano, was the real puppet master, a Capone-era gunman turned political kingmaker. He didn't run for office. He ran the people who ran for office. While Fred Roti, the Diacos, and others held seats of power, Marcy pulled the strings from behind the curtain. But even Marcy wasn't invincible. In 1990, just before his trial, something unusual happened. Retired Judge Frank Wilson shot himself in the head at his Arizona retirement home. Here's why. Cooley had testified that before hitman Harry Alleman's trial, Pat Marcy approached him and demanded that he take over as Alleman's lawyer. The plan wasn't to win. It was to fix the trial. Bench trial, no jury. Marcy even picked the judge, Wilson. They offered Wilson 10 grand for an acquittal. The result? Alleman walked free. That decision cost Chicago years of bloodshed. Alleman went on to kill again. Eventually, the state re-indicted him for the original 1972 murder of Teamsters official William Logan. This time, there was no fix. He was convicted and sentenced to 300 years. Died in prison in 2010. Marcy, meanwhile, was indicted under the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. 1 count of conspiracy. 6 counts each of bribery and extortion. But he didn't make it to sentencing. Pat Marcy died during the trial. With his death, the 7th family collapsed. And so did the outfit's decades-long chokehold over Chicago politics, judges, and cops. The empire crumbled from the inside out. After the collapse of the Seventh Family, what followed wasn't just a vacuum. It was a transformation. The traditional mob with its suits, silence, and blood-soaked loyalty took a back seat. What rose in its place? A new kind of political mob. Same tactics, different wardrobe. And many of the old outfit rackets, bookmaking, protection, union muscle, were now disguised as legit business or folded neatly into city government. But before the modern players stepped in, the last generation of outfit-connected families still had unfinished business. That included the Maggios. Back in 1903, the first Maggios stepped off the boat at Ellis Island. Martin Maggio and Margherita de Prima came from Sambuca, Sicily, and by 1909 they were settled in Bridgeport, Chicago. That neighborhood would become ground zero for Chicago's Italian-American power. Over the next few decades, Bridgeport bred the kind of street credibility that could only come from deep neighborhood roots. Maggio boys served in World War II, came back, settled down. One of them, Joe Maggio, became a carpenter. Not just any carpenter, he worked for outfit guys. His talent earned him jobs inside the homes of Chinatown crew capos, made men and top earners. He built furniture for killers and laid tile for gangland royalty. Quiet work, but high trust. The outfit knew him, respected him, and that meant his grandkids grew up under a shadow that felt more like a spotlight. Bridgeport wasn't Mayberry. It was the training ground. The streets taught lessons no school could cover. Kids ran errands for mobsters, picked up coffee cakes with $100 bills, lit cigars for men who had bodies in their pasts. The outfit didn't need to recruit. The kids just watched and wanted in. By age 7, one kid known as Stick Jr. was already hanging around card games, racetracks, and the original Italian-American club. That wasn't unusual. At the club, men talked business, played cards, and smoked cigars, while kids soaked up the environment like second-hand smoke. Nobody asked questions. You just listened and learned. The club was more than a social space. It was headquarters for the 26th Street Chinatown crew. 3 blocks down from Rickabenny's, it was part cigar lounge, part command center, a university for the outfit's next wave. And the education was blunt. Bet smart, talk less, trust no one. By the early 1970s, Stick Jr. was making the rounds with his dad, Vic the Stick Maggio. Racetrack stops, breakfast at KK's in Chinatown, errands for the crew. These weren't field trips, they were orientation. That era was still heavy with power. Turk Torello was Chinatown boss, Angelo the Hook LaPietra was his underboss. The Hook got his name the hard way, by using meat hooks during tortures. These weren't ghost stories, this was real. One look from Angelo was enough to paralyze a grown man. He didn't need to raise his voice. Just one glare could change the temperature in a room. By 1979, Torello was dead from cancer. Angelo took over the 26th Street crew. That transition marked a shift. The outfit was becoming more corporate. The violence was still there, but more selective. The money was smarter. And the Chinatown crew? It was arguably the strongest of the remaining 6. Every year, the outfit threw its annual club party under the Expressway Viaduct. There were raffles, food, drinks, and every outfit name of note was there, smiling, shaking hands, trading envelopes. This was the only time you'd see so many capos and soldiers in one place outside of a funeral. But as time passed, the faces changed. The older generation was dying off, and the new faces were less loyal, more reckless. Stick Jr. started noticing that loyalty inside the outfit was more myth than rule. Guys who smiled at you one day would set you up the next. And the ones who acted tough, usually the quickest to fold when things went sideways. In his mid-20s, Stick Jr. was done with the fantasy. He wanted out, but the neighborhood didn't make that easy. By the early 1980s, the escape hatch looked like a job and a car. A way out. A new track. The job came from Marina Cartage, a trucking company with deep outfit ties. The car? Bought from Frank Toots Caruso, no coincidence. Toots was an outfit name, and the Nova he sold had been modified by outfit mechanic and known hitman James DeForti. It looked like a quiet street car, but under the hood, it was a getaway vehicle built to outrun law enforcement. Straight-up muscle wrapped in primer grey. Marina wasn't a normal job. It was a criminal hub with a logistics cover. The owner, Mike, wasn't made, but he was outfit-affiliated. He had a taste for power and a hiring policy that looked like a parole board lineup. Convicted murderers, safe crackers, strong-arm guys. If your resume had felonies, you were in. In those early days, Marina had around 30 trucks. Within a few years, that number jumped to 100. Why? Because they started landing city contracts, millions in garbage hauling and city service work. That didn't happen on merit. It happened because envelopes of cash changed hands. The seventh family, the political arm of the outfit, was still active, still making sure their people got paid. The turning point came with the bombings. According to federal testimony from outfit informant Nick Calabrese, 26th Street capo Angelo LaPietra ordered a bombing campaign to intimidate and extort business owners across Chicagoland. Marina Cartage was one of the targets. Not once, twice. The first bomb? A dud. The second? Sent a message. Other targets included Four's Restaurant in Elmwood Park and the Drury Lane Theatre in Melrose Park. Bombings weren't random, they were strategic. A company that refused to pay the outfit street tax was a target. A company that underbid an outfit operation? Same thing. It was enforcement by explosion. The men behind the Marina bombings? Frank and Nick Calabrese. James DeForti, John Feccarotta, all big names with deep crew ties. The irony? After Mike got bombed, he was run off the road, beaten within an inch of his life, and had his Rolex smashed. Sitting next to him during the hit, Fred Barbara, the very guy who would later become his business partner. According to Nick Calabrese, Barbara was tied to the bombing crew. He was allegedly involved in the planning phase, then, once the intimidation worked, stepped in as Mike's new friend. That's not friendship. That's leverage. Barbara came from outfit royalty. Grandson of Bruno the Bomber Roti, nephew of Alderman Fred Roti, both key players in the seventh family. Fred Barbara was small in stature, maybe 130 pounds, but always carried a chip on his shoulder and a pistol on his hip. He was known for waving it around and threatening people. One day, after an argument over truck parts, he pulled a gun on Stick Jr., cocked it, put it to his head, gave him a long look, and nothing happened. Stick Jr. walked away, but not unchanged. The illusion of honor among thieves shattered in that moment. Mike, the boss, brushed it off. Because Barbara wasn't just another hothead, he was made untouchable. That was the moment the writing was on the wall. This wasn't a family. It was a hierarchy based on fear and self-interest. The guys who claimed loyalty would sell you out the second it benefited them. From that day on, it was just a paycheck. Stick Jr. knew everything that was happening, who was stealing what, who was bribing who, and he kept quiet. But when the time came to leave Marina, it wasn't a job change. It was an exit strategy. By the late 1980s, he was out. Done with Marina. Done with the daily grind of watching sociopaths pretend they were businessmen. His case was resolved. He left Chicago and started over in the suburbs. The outfit wasn't in his rear view yet, though. It just followed from a different direction. He tried to live clean. Tried. But when the rent comes due and the past keeps calling, old skills find new uses. A few connections, some local bar owners, and just like that, he was back in. Bookmaking this time. Low profile, quiet operation, 12 guys playing through him. He had a system. No high-stakes degenerates, no bets people couldn't cover, no juice, ever. If a guy got behind, he'd go on a payment plan. The goal wasn't pain, it was control. Then came the offer. A man connected to the Cicero crew wanted a sit-down. He brought a partner. Together, they offered him the chance to run his own shop under their umbrella. Total independence, on one condition. No cops, stay quiet, keep your guys in check, and all responsibility was on him. It was a business arrangement, not a brotherhood, and that's why it worked, for a while. When his father, Vic the Stick Maggio, found out, he wasn't happy. He wanted his son to come to him first. He could have set him up with someone from the old neighborhood, someone safer, more familiar. But that's exactly why his son didn't come to him. He didn't want any more family in the life. He told his dad flat out, "I didn't want you involved." That silence lasted 2 years. Eventually, the weight of it all added up. After 7 years of bookmaking and over 20 years of exposure to the rackets, tragedy struck. Personal loss, the kind that reshuffles priorities. That was the final push. He walked away. That's when Maggio News started, a pivot from player to observer, a journalist sort of, more like a watchdog. Then came Bloody Chicago, a raw, unfiltered dive into the violence engulfing the city. Friends thought he lost it. No one understood why he started filming gang murders and drive-bys instead of laying low. He didn't explain. He just did it. For 7 years he walked the streets, filmed scenes most people only read about, saw firsthand what decades of corruption, red tape, and gangland economics had created. No movie, no memoir, no FBI file prepared him for what he saw. The city wasn't just bloody, was broken. In 1998, Joe Maggio, the carpenter to the outfit, died. That day, the last direct link to the Capone, Nitti, Accardo and Giancana years died with him. The old guard came to pay respects. In 2016, Vic the Stick Maggio died. That ended the second chapter. He'd lived through the Accardo, Giancana, Ayupa years. Respected. Known. The guys came again, said their goodbyes. That was the last time anyone from the outfit was seen near the family. And then there was one. The last living Maggio with outfit history. But when he goes, that story, every handshake, every payoff, every funeral, every whispered name in a dark booth, that story dies with him. The final chapter comes down to two hitmen. Two men who walked parallel paths, same city, same business, very different endings. One of them was Nick Calabresi. Born into the outfit, blood-bonded by tradition, but eventually broken by fear, guilt and pressure. He was the first made member of the Chicago outfit to flip. Not an associate, not a runner. A full-on made man who had taken the oath of Omerta and spilled it all. Calabresi's cooperation would ultimately tear down what was left of the outfit's leadership during the landmark Family Secrets trial in 2007. That trial wasn't just another bust. It was a public dissection of the outfit's skeleton. The murders, the extortion, the secret meetings, the hidden books. Calabrese laid it out. 20 years of hits, bombings, beatings and payoffs. He admitted to murdering at least 14 people. He testified against his own brother, Frank the Breeze Calabrese Sr., a violent, old-school enforcer with a temper like a tripwire. That betrayal, unforgivable in outfit terms. But to the government, it was gold. Through Calabrese, the feds learned how Angelo the Hook La Pietra, as boss of the 26th Street crew, greenlit bombings to send messages and collect street taxes. They learned how the outfit shifted tactics post-1980s, becoming more businesslike on the outside, but keeping its core violent instincts. The testimony also exposed names long whispered but never confirmed. Who built the bombs? Who planted them? Who cashed the city contracts afterward? Fred Barbara's name came up again, linked not to the actual bombings, but to the meetings where they were planned. That thin line between complicity and plausible deniability. And in the outfit, being in the room was enough. The Family Secrets trial brought convictions that buried old bloodlines. Frank Calabresi Sr., Joey the Clown Lombardo, James Little Jimmy Marcello, and others got hammered with life sentences. Lombardo, once the face of the outfit's Grand Avenue crew, was convicted of racketeering and the murder of businessman Daniel Seifert. Marcello, the acting boss, went down for his role in orchestrating hits. The outfit wasn't dead. But after Family Secrets, it wasn't standing either. And then there was the other hitman, the silent one. The one who never flipped, never testified, but helped reshape Chicago's underworld simply by stepping back. Because when men like him stop showing up at meetings, stop handling envelopes, stop making phone calls, things change. Information stops flowing. Loyalties crack, gaps form, crews weaken. By the 2000s, the outfit wasn't gone. It had just gone quiet. The guys that survived either retired or adapted. The younger generation, mostly out. Too flashy, too soft, too afraid of prison. But something new had taken its place. Chicago's new mob didn't use brass knuckles. It used lobbyists, shell companies, city contracts, and campaign donations. The old illegal rackets, bookmaking, protection, ghost jobs got rebranded, sanitized. What used to be done behind closed doors in smoke-filled clubs was now done in committee meetings and procurement bids. Same hustle. Cleaner shirt. The old outfit guys, if they were still around, recognized the game. They just weren't playing it anymore. They didn't need to. The rackets were still here. They'd just changed zip codes. In the end, the fall of the Seventh Family was more than just the collapse of a political criminal alliance. It was the funeral for a whole way of doing crime in Chicago. When the lawyers, cops, judges, and aldermen all got indicted, the outfit's last real defense vanished. The modern mob? It looks like a real estate broker, talks like a union rep, smiles like a councilman. But make no mistake, it's still here. It just stopped wearing tracksuits.